Okay, for the prep work for our project. So we have our thumbnail. I just wrote line up there because that's what we're doing. Don't forget to write your name, your class period, and then put your number at the end. So we have lots of sections. You don't have to fill in all these thumbnails. This is what we're going to start with, and then we're going to translate it, whatever your final piece is here. So again, you have your reference sheets that we worked on already for all the different lines. So you have these to look at, but you're going to pick different lines. And as you can see, like Victor Vasarely did, you can see vertical, horizontal. So we're breaking it up. It gives the illusion of rhythm and depth using these lines. For example, right here you can see where these squares all have their vertex. That little vertex kind of gives it the illusion differently. So you can see where all the vertex kind of go in. It gives it more of an illusion that there's a pyramid coming up to that square in the middle. So again, this is going to be the final kind of practice right here. So we're going to go through and you're going to kind of work your way as you figure out which lines you want to use. Again, I'm using a pencil. Feel free to move to your black colored pencil if you want to, because it does have a little bit of a thicker line. That's up to you. We're going to be using a Sharpie for this final piece, not this piece, but the final piece when we're doing it on a piece of artwork. But pencil is going to be what I prefer to use so you can practice. So for example, I'm going to go to my thumbnail sketch. I'm going to kind of mark off some lines like, okay, from here up, I'm going to do some diagonal. The line's not very straight. So I'm just going to do something different. Again, I'm just trying to figure out what I like, which lines I want to do. I do like this right here. So I may take that, transfer it, and then figure out something here. Okay, so I'm liking it a little better. Again, I still like what I did here. I kind of want to clean this up a little bit. It looks a little messy. So maybe, I'm not sure, but I do like how I added this little, I don't know what you want to call that, more squarish line. So again, I'm going to continue to make it even better and more of what I want. And again, I'm just looking at his example and I'm just looking to see kind of what he did and translate it to something I want to do. I'm not copying it exactly. Again, it's copyright. I'm just looking at what he has done and what I can do to make it more work for my piece. Okay. I like this part. So maybe I break that. Okay, so again, the point of the thumbnails is for you to work through and find which final sketch you prefer. So I made it through 4, and I feel like I've got my final piece that I'm going to translate into our practice sheet over here. Again, I'm probably going to switch to my black colored pencil just to make it give me the more look of when I do my permanent marker, but I don't want to quite hit the permanent marker yet just in case I mess up. So you have plenty of squares, thumbnails to practice your way through of what you want to do. So I'm going to switch out, get to my colored pencil, make sure it is sharp, because personally I like a sharp colored pencil. And then I'm going to take what I finished on that last thumbnail and I'm going to put it over here. And I know my shapes are less smaller, and that's okay. Okay, so I marked off my big areas, and I know I'm going to fill in the small lines. And again, with the colored pencil, I can make them thicker because I know that they're going to be thicker with the permanent marker. There's my finished practice. Again, this is what I'm going to take and I'm going to transfer it into a piece of artwork. Again, using a Sharpie. And you're welcome to use a ruler if it feels like it makes you feel more comfortable. with it. So this is going to be the prep work that we're putting into our final product. So again, use the thumbnails, create example or whatever you want to do. And like I said, once I kind of found a spot, I found that spot and I moved it over here and I just fixed what I didn't like. And then I moved it here and I fixed what I didn't like. So slowly take your time through the thumbnails to create your final piece, then transfer it over to this practice sheet because this will be what you are going to take into your artwork. Again, using your black colored pencil to create those lines to give them a little bit more thicker space. Okay, now taking our practice sheet and moving into our artwork. So this is what you will have. Keep your practice sheet. I have my messy mat, just because when I'm drawing the lines, I want them to go off the page. Then you have a 9x9 piece of paper. You have a Sharpie. If you need a ruler, you have a ruler, and then your pencil. So the first thing everybody needs to do is make sure that you take your pencil and you write your name on your actual artwork. Again, what class period and your number. So once I've done that, then I can flip this over and I'm ready to start. Again, it's a square, so I want to make sure I have that mapped out. I'm going to take my ruler and my pencil and map out my major lines like I did before. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take it, I'm going to fold it. This is going to give me, I'm just going to give a slight crease. This is going to help me find the center because that's where that line technically is. Then I'm going to take my ruler. Now, if you're using a ruler, let's talk about rulers. Let me flip this over so you can see. Okay, so with a ruler, when you are using it, you must hold the ruler down. So if I have my pencil or my drawing tool in my drawing hand, my other hand is holding the ruler. You have to be aware there is a wrong way to use ruler. If you're trying to draw a straight line and you don't hold the ruler, that's not a straight line. That is pointless. You have to be able to hold the ruler down to follow the edge of the ruler. But again, you got to make sure the ruler is straight, because if you draw it like this, unless you're wanting a diagonal line, your line is a straight diagonal line, but it's not a straight vertical line or horizontal. So you have to make sure that you are lined up and making sure that that line is straight because you're holding the ruler straight. So you don't want to misuse your ruler. You have to make sure that you're holding it down tight, that you're following the edge of the ruler, and that you have it where you want it. For example, I want to trace a line down that crease. So I get the edge of my ruler from the top to wherever the ruler stops. I'm following the edge of my ruler in that crease. Again, hold my ruler down with my other hand. I don't want to draw a dark line. Obviously, my ruler is small, so I'm going to have to move my ruler down, all the way down. So that is the center. I don't need to know my horizontal center because lines are different. But if you wanted to know your horizontal center, again, you could take the top and the bottom, gently crease it right there just to kind of give you an idea where the center is. I don't need to know that, but it depends on your design. Okay, so that line, I need to divide it into another horizontal line and another diagonal line. So again, the edge of my ruler, the edge of my paper, hold it down, draw a faint line. Now I got to do it from that corner to this corner. So I'm going to hold my pencil there. It's going to be kind of hard because my ruler doesn't really touch that. It's a little off, but I'm okay with that. Okay, then I have to have this line. I don't want it as thick as my ruler. Then I know I went farther down, my horizontal line right here. Again, holding my ruler, pushing against the edge. And sometimes you may want it the thickness of your ruler, so I'm going to line up the bottom of my paper with the bottom of my ruler, and then that way I know that it's completely straight. Okay, so I have mapped out with my pencil and my ruler my kind of like shapes I'm filling in with the line. You can continue to draw your lines with the ruler and then trace this all with the permanent marker, or trust your natural ability to draw lines straight. I have felt like I've done a lot of drawing of lines, so I'm going to jump right into drawing the lines. At least we'll see how it goes. I've been a little under the weather, so I'm a little shaky. So we'll see. So first I'm going to trace these lines and then I'll go from there. If you don't feel like you can draw straight lines, please use the ruler. And maybe you choose to use the ruler for some of them and not all of them. You don't have to use your pencil. I'm just going to jump straight into using the ruler with my marker. Let's start at the easy lines. But again, just make sure that you're using it correctly. And that's why I have my messy mat underneath me, because I'm just going to go right off the paper. And you kind of just have to get in the rhythm of how far apart you want them. Again, this is all just practice of hand and eye coordination, kind of knowing from drawing experience. And if you notice that you're getting a little farther away, just try to pick back up where you should be. And again, I feel like I didn't get this. Like some of these are not touching the top. Again, this is why I'm using this paper so it runs off. Also, one tip, never write your name with permanent marker, because as you can see, if you wrote your name with a permanent marker, you're going to see your name through the artwork. So I always want to make sure kids understand permanent markers are not used to write your name, just for the art. Okay, so I'm going to turn it so it's easier for me to do some of these lines. Maybe I'll make these thicker. I'm going to double up. So I'm tracing once, moving over, tracing again. Marker's getting dry. Please go switch it out for another one. Don't continue making it, because your artwork's just going to look half done, not going to look good. Okay, these two spots are the ones where I'm curving my line, so it's going to take a little bit more effort because I want to make sure that I'm doing this. I do like the thicker lines. I just hate that I didn't do some thick lines over there versus here. So after I finish these, I'm going to do these thin. So I may go back over and do these thick, just because I know I have more space, just to give it some line quality, different line types. But since I've already drawn the line, I just have to trace. I don't need my ruler again. But I do think doubling up on the line. Okay, so again, these are my L shape ones. So it's going to have to be a little bit more time consuming. Okay, well, my last step, again, this is the more tedious one. I'm going to turn it sideways so I can get a better, I think I may do this line first. Okay, so I like how it turned out. I really like how I did the darker. I went back and made the artistic decision to go back and thicken these lines up to give my line different options. It just looks better. I like that I did the thicker ones here. So I really like how it turned out. Again, use your ruler if you feel like you need to, and please understand, if you need to start over, we'll get there. We'll cross that bridge when we need to. Please don't feel like you have to get it done the first time. That's why we've had so many practice between your thumbnail sketches, between having plenty of times to practice here, figuring out if you like it here, before transferring it to here. That's the one thing about being artists, is that you have plenty of times to practice before you put it on your final piece. That's why we have our thumbnails. These are great ways, and you could do thumbnails within your sketchbook by just drawing little squares and then taking it, making sure you got what it is here, then putting it here. So this is our line practice versus our product. Please make sure, again, that your name, period, and numbers on the back before you turn this in. This is very important. No name, no fame. You will not get your paper back. You will not get a grade for it. So please make sure that is done. Again, make sure that you use your messy mat. Get those lines going off the paper. I don't want them stopping on the edge. I want them all the way off the paper. So I hope you enjoyed this little line activity, and good luck with planning out your lines. And these are the items I will be looking for as I'm grading your artwork. Is your prep work done using the thumbnail sketches using a pencil? Is your prep work with the planning page done using a black colored pencil? The use of vertical and or horizontal lines, the use of diagonal lines. Is your name on the back of your final product page in pencil? Your final project using the 9x9 artwork paper provided. Straight and consistent line work on your final product. The use of a black felt marker on the final product, and if it is turned in on time. This is how you earn your A.